Okay, good afternoon, you beautiful, actually good morning, sorry, good morning, you beautiful human beings. It is Wednesday, middle of the week. We've made it almost halfway through the week. We have a bit more still to go. Now listen, if you were part of our Dollars for Lunch session yesterday, we had an amazing session, right? We broke down what's happening in the world. We broke down some of the fundamental data that came out. We predicted that the biggest likelihood for a shock move on the Canadian dollar would be that it would come to the upside. Economists predicted that it would be to the lower end. We predicted an upside movement or positive reaction for the Canadian dollar, and we got that. We set up some pendings for the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar didn't move all too much that justified keeping those pendings, so we pulled those pendings out. However, we did set up a pending for US City, and that was an absolute monster. US City broke through, smacked the pending, and just ran straight to the ceiling, right? Around about 1,000 pips per position on that trade, and that was an absolute monster that set the week up, and that was for Premium Plus only. Now, when it comes to Dollars for Lunch, even though Dollars for Lunch is a live session, we call out trades live in that session. We don't necessarily post them as well to the community. Specifically, if I'm doing them very quickly, the team won't have time to post it and obviously put that into the community. So you want to make sure if you're a Premium Plus member, you try and watch Dollars for Lunch, even if it's not immediate, even if it's not live, but then at least try to get it in before the New York Stock Exchange open, right? Super, super, super important. But we had an amazing day yesterday. We broke down quite a bit. I taught you guys quite a lot about what to look out for in the market, how to predict a stable market, a trending market, or just a chaotic market as a whole. So we're going to go break down some charts, but first and foremost, I just want to show you what the world's busy speaking about. And this is an exact opposite of what we saw in the news yesterday, or we saw in the news even early in the week, right? Early in the week, if you guys recall, the Federal Reserve was essentially backpedaling on what they were saying about rate cuts for next year, right? If you read the articles Monday, even early Tuesday morning, the Fed was saying or releasing statements saying, hey, we didn't say we're going to be cutting rates next year, right? I explained to you guys yesterday as well that didn't really matter. They showed us that there's going to be rate cuts through their plots charts, dot plot charts, and that rate cuts need to happen next year. That's exactly what needs to happen. It came out of Powell's mouth that they don't see raising high rates any further to be an objective, and everybody as part of the committee voted for rate cuts somewhere in 2024. In addition to that, they showed that they would cut rates even higher than what was previously expected. So that was really discussed when we did Powell Live a week or two ago. So that's done, that's dusted. But the articles were saying that the Fed is now backpedaling and they didn't, we shouldn't focus on the rate cuts, etc. But have a look at what's happening today, right? Now we're seeing the Fed tiptoed into a pivot, which we understand. A pivot is basically that understanding of, they're going to keep higher for longer, extremely, hawkish, extremely aggressive. But they tiptoed into a pivot of, okay, wait, the things we're doing are kind of working, etc. And now the Fed has been urged to move even faster. Now, getting into this article, it's actually pretty amazing. I want you guys to read this, right? So let's get into it. There we go. Right, even Powell, after months of being hawkish, right, for pretty much the whole year of being aggressive, hawkish, saying he'll do whatever he needs to do, turned slightly dovish at his last press conference of the year while keeping all options open. So remember, we broke down hawkish and dovish and what that means and why that sentiment is so important for the markets, almost more important than anything else that they say. And we were all surprised in that live session together where we saw Powell being dovish and saying, hey, what we're seeing is working, the US economy is recovering and inflation's coming down and etc. So that's why we saw that massive blow to the dollar as the Fed signaled rate cuts were coming to a pause and that or rate hikes were coming to a pause, remain steady, and then we'll see a progression onto next year. Here's a chart that I paused on a little bit earlier. It actually shows what the expectation was in terms of for next year, right, where the majority of respondents voted for where they see the federal base interest rate percentage over each term for next year, right? And that's why we can see that in 2024, majority of people, right, see that interest rates will be cut and or lowered around and into potentially the 4.6 something region, towards the end of 24, definitely being in that 4.6 region, right? Which is massive. September, their vote is there, and December their vote is there. So you can see how that has changed with majority of the respondents or majority of the members sitting on the Federal Reserve panel, board and committee are lowering their estimates of how low interest should be next year, as well as the years to come, right? So that is the big base case of what's going to be spoken about. And as we've said and broken down in the show, and that's why I believe these shows are so important, is to really take away some of the noise that's happening in the market, right? Some of the BS, some of the propaganda, and we read it to you as it is and what we see it from a trading perspective. Now, again, remember, nothing we do here is financial advice. Everything we do here is for educational, entertainment purposes. And it's great to see things we've been speaking about for weeks, even months, even years, materializing, and then they wording it the exact same way we worded it a year ago of what would likely happen and how it's sort of starting to play out. So we're seeing that propaganda machine's running out of steam, and they now kind of need to give sort of accurate accounts of what all is happening in the world and in the markets. Right, moving on to the economic calendar for today, in terms of some of the bigger items that are going to be due. Right, we don't have all too much this morning. Yesterday we missed out on some yen interest rates and announcements there, which is caused a pretty big spike. We found that spike when looking at CAD JPY yesterday, and we dived a bit deeper and found out about those interest rates, those announcements. But for this afternoon, we've got some existing home sales. CB consumer confidence is going to be coming out. Crude oil inventories doesn't seem to have as much of a correlation between other commodities like gold anymore, so we're not going to worry too much about crude oil, but this will definitely have some movements in the market, right? We're not necessarily going to trade this live. We will be trading this afternoon on Premium Plus live at 3:15. We'll trade for about 15 minutes to half an hour, look at the market structure, set up some orders, discuss things. And as always, remember, if you're part of Premium Plus and you're in on that live session with us, jump in the live session, ask questions early in the session. If you want me to look at something, if you want to post an analysis, if you want to send me a trade setup and get my opinion on what's happening there, you're welcome to do that. More than welcome. Don't feel shy. Send that through. These shows are for you guys, right? It's not for me, it's for you guys. That's what it's all about, right? So this afternoon, a little bit of information going to be coming out that is going to be worthwhile looking at, but I believe we're going to be far and long into trades prior to that even coming out whatsoever, right? So just having a look at the markets overall, right? Again, we were speaking in the dollars for lunch session yesterday about that bull activity breaking out. If it breaks out, we should see that bull activity across the board, which we do see, right? Pretty much lit green like Christmas across the board. Speaking of Christmas, guys, literally Christmas is less than 5 days away. That is absolutely nuts. So looking at the markets, right? There's aren't too many structures outside of what we were looking at yesterday. There's still low structures busy playing out as we discussed in the dollars for lunch session. We're looking at CAD JPY as we expected. CAD JPY pretty much hit our alert there, and then is starting with that bit of retracement. As I explained yesterday as well, we're looking for CAD JPY to break the support before looking at a short, and if that happens, right, then we're seeing that scallop formation has come to completion, and CAD JPY has the legs to fall substantially further towards that downside. So we're definitely be watching that out. I'm still busy with USD ZAR, right, looking at opportunities here for trades, longs specifically, as we obviously get into some bigger trades on USD ZAR. We will be keeping this a little bit closer as trade opportunities as we move on into the week, right? Also, must just explain to everybody, as we get closer to Christmas, obviously Christmas Day is on a Monday. We obviously then have the Tuesday also, and then we're going to start to give the team a little bit of time off. So we will be operating past Christmas into New Year's, however, in a limited capacity and limited position, right? So if trades come out that, if we see trades develop that we believe are worthwhile to push into the community, we'll do that. But I'm not 100% sure yet whether we will have some live shows over that period, right? And it's important to spend time with family and put your feet up anyway. So we will be having a look at that one. Now, another trade that popped off basically this week, which we spoke about end of last week and even potentially even beginning of this week, was we're looking at Bitcoin reaching that market bottom, right? I'll zoom out maybe to... There we go. Right, so we spoke about Bitcoin pulling down to that level, right, being on that 88.2 fib level and then potentially breaking out, right, and we didn't really follow up on this one. I must admit, I missed it. We spoke about it, we drew it out, but I didn't give it to the team to monitor in great detail. But for those of you who were with us in the Pounds Breakfast on Monday, basically we got that push down to the $40,800 to a coin BTC. Right, we got a little bit of a push down past that just to test deeper than that 88.2, and then Bitcoin obviously turned around. So Bitcoin moved all the way back up to basically $43,500 pretty much in one day, right? Over, let's have a look, Monday and Tuesday morning, straight up to that $43,000 per coin. So Bitcoin is starting to trend very well, right? We're seeing some good price action structure, some good adherence to levels. Primarily, what I would like you guys to do, or like everybody to at least be aware of, is two things, right? First thing being is that we have obviously this diagonal trend line. This is a 30-minute time frame. If you want to watch this 30-minute time frame, we've also got that resistance level, right, sitting at that 43,432. So $43,423 to a coin. I want you guys just to be aware of that key level, because a breakout above that level will obviously signal some larger bull activity. Now, what might also be developing here is a sort of triangle, right? We might be seeing a bullish triangle that's starting to form here, which might give us buying and selling opportunities for quite a bit of time here as we see this further develop, right? Which basically means that we'll buy low, sell high, but we want to expect that breakout, between that 50 and 70% formation, right? So if we look at the width of this potential triangle, we're looking at about 1,000 1-hour candles, right? So we can expect then a breakout anywhere between, let's have a look at the dates. So basically almost spot on the end of this year, the 29th of December, anywhere between the 29th and the 3rd of December is where that 50 to 70% breakout formation will end up being, right? Now, if this is foreign to you and you don't really know what I'm speaking about, then all you basically want to do is make sure you're part of Premium Plus, right? If you have a look at Premium Plus, we have our learning area, and our classroom in Premium Plus is where you'll be able to access everything that I just spoke about in terms of price action. So you go in there, you're able to jump in, have a look at price action and some of these price action formations and how to trade them and how to predict their movements, right? That's all within Premium Plus. In addition to that, guys, I also just must say, I think we have hit most of our pip counts already for the week, right? I received an update this morning from the team. Euro JPY last position running 85 pips, GBP JPY last position running 140 pips, AUD JPY last two positions running 40 pips per position and approaching TP2, right? So we've had an absolute monster of a week across the board, right? Things are really, really going well. The signals are flowing, right? And I believe by the end of today, we would have reached the 500 pips for the free area, meaning all trades after the 500 pips will go directly into Premium Plus, right? So if you want to be a part of that, less than $1 a day, you do need a TDM live account of at least $100 to get that $30 per month special, right? If you don't have a TDM account and we can't see a TDM account on our side that is funded through the link that is provided, right, then you are going to need to be paying $60 per month. So make sure you grab that while stocks last. STP account, TDM, it's the best way you can possibly and potentially go. So there's a lot of trades we are looking at. We're keeping a very, very close eye on gold. I haven't mentioned it right now. We've run out of time, but we will be issuing more trades as and when we see fit, right? Massive week. I think we should be up around about 3,500 pips, somewhere around about there as of right now, right? And it's only halfway through the week. We expect we can get even further, right? So imagine 5,000 pips. What does that mean? Right, what does 5,000 pips mean for you as a trader? Right, if you're entering 5,000 pips, even at 0.01, the smallest potential trade you can take, 5,000 pips is 10 cents per pip, and that would mean that on 5,000 pips, you as a trader, right, at bare minimum, right, you're looking at $500. Right, at 5,000 pips at a 0.01, the smallest trade that you can enter, we're talking about $500. That's almost 10,000 Rand for a week of trading. Right, if you're looking at standard lots, right, $10 per pip, we're talking about big money here, guys. We're talking about $50,000, almost R1 million from those 5,000 pips. So trading can change your life. It's about being dedicated, following the rules and sticking to the plan. I often tell people that deviate from the plan, just stick to the plan. Don't worry about anything else, right? And I'm training and mentoring a lot of people right now that are working in and with DVDM markets, from the signals to the admin to all these other areas. And I'm simply just telling them, stick to what you need to do. Stick to your part of the process. And people may think, why is he doing this? Why is he limiting me only to this area? But it's a tool and it's a teaching to show that if you stick to the rules of what's right in front of you and do what's right in front of you to the best of your abilities, you will succeed, right? everything will come into play. And that's what it is for us as traders. Just stick to the rules. Stick to the rules about risk management. Stick to the rules about how and when you trade, and the rest will fall into place. Don't pull an Instagram, these whatever that call these trades out before they even happen, and they sit in a room and how many people have blown their accounts. Everyone's blown their accounts. Trading is not this guessing game on social media that everybody makes it out to be, right? And don't follow these people. All you're doing is kind of making them think that they've got the right thing there, when all they want to do is they care about money more than people. But outside that, let me not ramble and rant. Appreciate you guys. As always, look out in the groups, our social area for all our new trade opportunities. They are going to be flowing today like butter and honey, so make sure you're a part of that. Outside of that, dollars for lunch. I'll see you Premium Plus students and clients at 3:15 today. We'll be trading live as always. Until I see you a little bit later, you know the drill. Stay safe. Goodbye.